Hello again, my dear friends. Hope everyone is doing great. My name is Forrest Pan. I'm a web and mobile developer based in New York City. Today we are kicking off a new video series. This time it is a matchmaking web app and mobile app with map integration. We are continuing our exciting journey to explore how much code sharing we can achieve across React and React Native. And this is today's agenda. Video series 4.1, React app. Today we focus on the web app by using React. And we're gonna build a basic UI and as well as render Google Map with markers. It includes several tasks. The number one task is basic UI with basic UI with Google Map here. Number two is to render a few Google Map markers here. And the third task is build a simple UI that can enable us to add new messages. Let's start our project. So basically this is the folder. I start with npx create react app and I use the name HappyDating underscore react and I enter here. React, actually happy dating react. So I enter here. After you enter and after the project is initiated, you will see this folder under this subfolder under the folder you initiate the project. So if you go to this folder, actually cd the name of the project and copy paste. So under this folder we need a couple of dependencies. We need to npm install. We need React, Google Maps, and Bootstrap. And we hit enter here. So after these two dependencies are npm installed, you will actually see in the file src packages, you will see React Google Maps as well as Bootstrap. After that, you can start working on this project. So let's go back to the terminal under HappyDating underscore React. We can npm start here. So while the project is starting, we should be able to start working on it. So basically what happens is we know the default content on this web page is from app.js. It is imported to index.js. So we are going to have our own codes. By doing that, we need to start with creating a few folders. So what we plan to do for this folder structure is to make, we already have a src folder, so we just need a src components. And under components, we will have a view and containers and layout. So these are the three subfolders under components. Then under each individual folder, we should have our files. So first and foremost, under layout, we're going to create files by touch. So under layout, we're going to have home.js, and under view folder, we're going to have a map.js and a add message.js, and then index.js. And under containers, we're going to have index. Under containers, we're going to have a messages component, as well as a map navigation.js. So these are all the files that we need for creating this project. First and foremost, we're going to import the home component into index and implement our Bootstrap UI there. How do we do it? Let's see in here. So in home.js, we need to import React component from React class home extends component export default home render return. We can say simply div, closing div, I am home component. So we're going to import this into index.js. So in here, instead of import app, we're going to comment out. Instead, we're going to say import home. This is going to be component layout home, and in here we need to say home. Okay, so after changing these codes, let the terminal to compile. After a successful compile, components. Okay. So the default code is replaced by our home component. And the next, in this home component, we're trying to implement the Bootstrap UI so that it will look nicer. Import node modules Bootstrap CSS, actually dist CSS, bootstrap.css. After this is implemented, so in our home component, we can do a lot of things here. Class name equals to, okay, we need a few more levels. under here. Three. I think this is pretty much enough. So first level, we say class name equals to container. Second level, we'll say this is a row. Third is a column. Small, probably 8. Offset 2. And this one is a card. Then we're going to have a card body. And apparently we're going to have a card header, body, and footer. And in here we can say, hey, in the header I can say h2, h2. We call this app HappyDating. Okay, so we have a simple UI here, and we probably want to have a map to be put in this UI. This is what we're gonna do. So we first do a testing of, so before we do that, we have a few things to do. Import map navigation. From map navigation and export map navigation. We do the same thing for messages. We also have messages imported and exported. And also in the view folder, same thing, but the file name is different. Instead of map navigation, we say map. Control C, actually. Instead of messages, we're going to say add message. Add message, add message. And then in the map navigation component, we say import React component from React class map navigation extends component export default map navigation render return. I can simply say here div closing div I am map navigation component. I want to import this into home. Import map navigation from containers, and I want to insert map navigation under here. Okay, so it's compiled. We know this will work, so it's safe for us to start implementing React Google Map and then import into home component. So this is what we are going to do. So in the map.js, import React component from React. Class map extends component. Export default map. And I still do the map thing. Render, return. Okay, in here, what we can do is import a couple of components from React Google Maps. So we're going to have with Google Map, and this with Google Map can wrap the map component, and inside we can have Google Map, and inside here we can insert default center equals to this props center, and the default zoom equals this props zoom. And we export this map to map navigation component. We are going to import map from this view folder and implement our map here. So we can say map. So within this map, we will define center. Center will be a coordinates of latitude and longitude. For latitude, we tentatively put Lower Manhattan in here. So I say that's 40 72 24, and longitude equals to about minus 73, 98, 96. And the zoom, currently we put 13 here. And there are a couple of more things we do define. Map element equals to, and container element equals to. So this will be a div style equals to height. So 100 plus percentage. And the container element is pretty much the same thing, but I temporarily put 100. I believe this is the code, and let's see what we get. It's compiled, and it needs one more thing. We need the Google Map API. So what we can do is to go to my other project. Let's see, HappyDating. So I can go to another project, public index. So I need this line to be put in public index in here. So this is the Google API key that we can use to call Google Map API. So we need to implement this. So we are going to import into home.js. So this map navigation, we can put it in I don't know, in here. And now we can see the map. And this is Lower Manhattan in New York. And very simple and straightforward. We need to congratulate to us that we accomplished the first task, a basic UI with Google Map. A basic UI with Google Map. Next task is task 2, to render multiple markers. To do that, we need to go back to our, we have opened too many files. Let's move on to the next task by closing all the files. So the things we need to do for render multiple markers is for us to update map.js and map navigation.js. So in map.js, we need to, of course, import marker component from React Google Maps dependency. And also in here, we need to implement, so first and foremost, we need to const markers equals to this props markers, and in here we need to map it, markers map to marker.index, and in here we are going to say marker component we need, okay, so this is our marker in our map.js component, and in the map navigation we need to start with a constructor super this state equals to this should be an array. Under this array, there should be two objects. Let's define the first one. Key is 1. Position is another object with two keys and values. Latitude. I probably put it as the same as the center of the map, so it's easy to see. So that will be this one. Position. The second marker, I make it slightly off, but close enough. So instead of, say 8, say this 4. And in here, I'm going to say const markers equals to this state markers. And markers equals to markers. I believe this is the code to render the markers. Markers map binding member expression. Markers map. Markers map. Okay. Markers dot map marker index. Dot map marker index. Oh, sorry, I apologize. A typo here. Okay. Another typo. It works. Markers equals to markers. So this is a tiny mistake here. Sorry, I apologize for that. So it works. So basically, in the state, I define the array markers with a couple of object markers, and it is rendered here. So we are able to achieve our second task on our agenda. We are rendering multiple markers on the map. And the third task of today is to create an UI for adding messages, because eventually this is a dating website to matchmaking users with potential dating interests within a certain geographical range. Let's say if the two users are close enough and potentially they are each other's dating interest, they should be matched by this app so that they can continue with their dating activity. So for that to be working, we need to create a UI, a add message component, so that users at a particular location can submit a message saying, hey, I'm interested in dating someone with certain criteria within this geographical location. So let's do that. So for us to do that, we are having this whole component here called messages. So let's say go to this agenda. So this is the entire a component called messages, and within this messages component we have the list of these messages as well as a subcomponent, we call it add message, where users can submit a message, username and message, and submit, and to be participating in this matchmaking. So this is what we're going to do. So in the messages component, we're going to import React component from React class messages extends component. We're going to export default messages and going to render return div closing div I am messages component, and then we're going to import this to the home component, and we're going to implement it probably in here. So in the card body, we're supposed to see I am messages component. That's exactly what the web page does now. And now we are going to replace here with two input boxes and submit button. So this is what we're going to do. So in add messages, we're doing import React component from React class add messages, add message, extend component, export default, add message. Render return div close div I am add message component, and for this one to work we need to import it to messages. Import add message from view, now message component, and in here instead of saying messages component, I want to change it to just add message. So instead of seeing I am messages component, we should see I am add message component. So let's see. I need to save this and refresh this. So I am add message component, which is successful. So now we are going to replace it with the actual input box and the submit button. So we go to add message component. So in here, instead of saying rendering, I'm add message, the simple text, we're going to have a form. So at the same time, we're going to close this form, and under this form, we're going to have a div, close div, and the div should have a class name equals to let's say form group, and under here another div tag, we're going to say, oh, so basically I want to change my mind. In here I just say input, and this input should have ID equals to user, type equals to text, placeholder equals to user, and on change equals to this update message bind this. I actually want to view word wrap, which is nicer. So we have this div for user. I also need another one for message body. Message body, text, message body, and on change this update message bind this. And I want to have a button here. This button is the value is submit. and the method here is on click equals to this submit message dot bind this, and we need to build a constructor and also define a couple of methods. Constructor super this state equals to user a blank message body, another blank, and I'm going to define a couple of methods. Update message, this is event, and I also have submit message event. Before I forget, prevent default, and so in here I say const updated equals to object assign a blank object to this state message and update it. Event target ID equals to event target value, and then we are going to update the state. This is wrong. Message updated, and this should be the code. In here I need to console log to see whether this state message is actually captured in the console log. Plus JSON stringify this state message. I think this is the code. Let's see what we get. So we have this UI. So in the message form group, I need it to look nicer. Say form control class name. Okay. Yeah, it helps. So the expectation is to, when we key in user and message body, console log should be seen in the inspect. So we say in here, okay, so it complains. What happens here is instead of this wrap, it needs to see here. Okay, so then it's gone. So basically, when we put in, say, missed React, saying, I want to date someone knows React Native within my my neighborhood. I say submit. Yeah, it captures. You see, submit message. Console log says user, Mr. React, and message body is the message body. I want to date someone know React Native, so that The two people are potentially each other's dating interests, and they can date and continue to work on code sharing across React and React Native. So in summary, go back to our uh, agenda. We have achieved these tasks. A basic UI with a Google map, render a few markers, and we also build the UI here. When we submit it, it's console logged for the future uh, development of um, the full app for both React for web and React Native for mobile. Um, we have achieved a lot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned. In next class, we will continue our journey of code sharing across React and React Native. Thank you. Bye.